Hello everyone, welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, our box is going all the way to Canada, to Toronto, to meet Frankie. Let's see what Frankie has to say. Enjoy the interview. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Hello Frank, I'm very well. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
Very good. Thanks for joining me in this beautiful journey called William and the Magic Box.
Can't wait, I'm very excited.
Very good. Okay, Frankie, so just before we start the game, just tell me, where are you from?
I'm from Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
Right, and tell me a little bit about yourself. What do you do for a living?
I'm a real estate agent, and I also do freelance marketing for different types of industries.
Okay, and what's the best part of your job in your opinion?
The freedom. I get to make my own schedule, I get to be with my kids, I get to choose who I work with, and it's just basically the freedom to kind of be your own boss is the best thing about my job.
I see. And what's the best part of living in Toronto in your opinion?
Whew. I don't know, it's just somewhere where I always grew up. So I lived in many different I lived in a couple of different countries throughout my life. So it's always good to be home, and Toronto was always home. It's very familiar, has that kind of familiarity to it. So I love Toronto.
In which country did you live? Was the furthest country lived?
I lived in Europe, so I lived in Slovakia for a couple of years. I also lived a little bit in Austria and Czech Republic, and I also lived in Italy. I lived a little bit in Spain, and
Wow.
I lived in Turks and Caicos for about 8 months.
Okay, all because of job or just for?
Well, for sport, like I played football, so that took me to Italy, and then it also took me to Spain, and then for a job. So because I'm a dual citizen, I was able to get dual citizenship because I'm a first generation Canadian. So I was able to go visit these countries, and the best way to visit a country is to kind of be engulfed in the culture, to live there. So I ended up just getting a job to sustain my vacation, to extend my vacation for a couple of years.
I see. Have you ever been in South America before?
Never, no.
Ever? Cool.
No.
I'm originally from Brazil, so I was about to ask if you've been in Brazil before. So
No, it was on my list. I want to travel everywhere, and then kids come and kind of things change and plans change. But I did a lot of living early on in my life. When my friends were having kids at a young age, I decided to hold off on kids, live a full life, and then have kids without having any regrets of my kind of did I miss out on anything. So I'm happy with my decisions.
Very good, Frankie. Right, so welcome to William and the Magic Box. So I've got
Thank
here
you.
my lovely friends full of random fun questions. So first I'm just gonna play some music just for us to get a bit in the mood before the first question. Ready?
For sure. Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, Frankie from Toronto, let's go for the first question.
Do it.
Right, first question is, if you could be any age, which age would you choose and why?
Well, that's a tricky question, because if I could be any age, but knowing what I know now, I would love to go back to age 24, just because that's when I kind of started my peak of my maturity. That's when I started building my career. All my education was out of the way. But if I could go back to an age, but not knowing what I know now, I'd want to stay the exact same age I am right now, because I wouldn't want to forget any of the experiences that I've done. I wouldn't want to eliminate any of the people that I've met along the way, and I definitely wouldn't want to give up my children. So knowing what I know now, 24, if I would start from scratch, I want to stay at my age right now.
It means that you are very happy where you are right now.
I'm very happy where I am, yes.
That's very good. But I think everyone wishes to have, like, I don't know, 20 something and have the same knowledge that we have right now, but
For sure.
it's impossible.
Then we could just invest in any company that we want to, and we'd make so much money because we'd have all this future knowledge.
Can you imagine? Everyone would be a billionaire, like.
They would, yeah. But it would change the whole cycle of time, so who knows what kind of disasters would happen because of that.
That's true,
Yeah.
that's for sure. Okay, Frank, let's go for the second
Let's
question.
do it.
Okay, Frankie, just before the next question, tell me a little bit about the home gym.
Oh, so right now I'm on parental leave. So my wife, she took maternity leave when we had our second child, and I decided to take 6 months off of work altogether And during the pandemic and everything like that, I ended up building a home gym in the basement of my house. And never having a home gym before, I thought it was going to be very challenging to kind of stay fit, and get in shape from home. And I found that it was actually very easy, as long as you are motivated. So I decided to kind of just share that with the world. So I changed my Instagram account from a personal account to Hoff's Home Gym. I'm starting a YouTube channel, and I'm on TikTok answering fitness questions. So it's more of a way of me kind of giving back and showing people that, hey, just because commercial gyms are closed, or maybe you can't afford to go to commercial gym, you just need a few pieces of equipment, some motivation, and you can get in shape and stay in shape from home. So that's why I started Hoff's Home Gym. It's just a passion project of mine.
Right, so this project came out after the pandemic last year, when the coronavirus started out?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so it came because, commercial gyms were closed, and I wasn't able to go to the gym and work out. So I wanted to stay in shape. So I started building up my gym piece by piece. And, I started posting, just random pictures, and people have been asking a lot of questions, oh, what do you have? Or how do you stay in shape? How do you stay motivated? So I decided to build an account around that and try to help people. And it motivates me as well. You hold yourself accountable when you post on social media. Absolutely. And when people count on you, even though you don't know them, you kind of feel responsible to kind of stay up to date and give them, the knowledge that they ask for. And because I have an athletic background and personal training background, it was just a natural fit.
And is it actually, to be honest, I was checking out a little bit of your first video on YouTube today, and I was like, oh my God, such a good idea, to be honest with you, because I remember when this lockdown started out, everyone was crazy. Like, I love the gym. I love going to the gym as well. And I remember all my friends, people were like, oh my God, how are we going to find out? And actually, I think this idea you have now, actually people, I'm sure when they're going to watch it, they're going to go like, oh my God, actually I can work out from home. I can do some exercise from home, because I remember myself, the first lockdown, the only way I could do it just walk, run in the park. But besides that, I was like, my God, what am I going to do right now? And I think it was a very good idea, actually, when I was looking your video.
I appreciate that. And that's the goal. And I just started the YouTube account, but I've been on Instagram for a while now, and I answer questions on TikTok. So the YouTube is a little bit more challenging. I'm learning something new, to build that content. Yourself, you're a YouTuber. So to build that content, you want to have a bank of content to put out, because you don't want to put out a video every couple of weeks. You want to have kind of, a storage of, 5-6 videos to go, so you can constantly, upload, once a week or twice a week if you can. So there's going to be more videos coming. I plan to upload every Friday.
Absolutely, and I think as well that when the idea is fresh and new, because I haven't seen any of this idea online, so I was like, oh, there's something fresh, and if you can kind of explore those beats, it can go viral, that's for sure.
And my goal is not to get a huge following. If I can help, a couple of people, that's good enough for me. I'm not looking for clout. I'm not looking for likes or followers and things like that. That's not the intention of it. It's just, I really love doing it. When you love doing something, it's really not work.
But that's the thing. If you love doing something, it's going to explode somehow, and you're going to be like, oh my God, I was expecting that.
100%.
Right, next question is, talking about social media, what's the silliest thing have you ever posted online?
I think the silliest thing I posted online was, I guess, my food. There was a time when it was a craze. You post your meals and do everything. What am I eating online? And to me that's kind of dumb, because the food never looks as good to somebody else as it does to you when you're taking the picture. You may think you cook this gourmet meal, shrimp, pasta, rice, and all these beautiful vegetables. You take a picture of it, and you love it because you made it or whatever, and then you post it online, and like, no one cares what you're eating. So it's kind of silly. And then by the time you get the ideal picture, the food gets cold. So I think, that's kind of the silly, I always try to make sure that I don't post anything too offensive or anything online that's going to come back to me. And I don't want to start deleting stuff. So I try to be positive as much as possible. So I don't have any kind of regretful posts or anything like that. But I think posting things of your food, I think that's kind of silly, and no one's really interested that much in it.
That's true. You just look it up and like, okay, next one. You just look, you don't keep like staring at it. Okay, let's go for another question. Okay, Frankie, next question for you is, what's the most beautiful thing someone have ever said to you?
Yeah, I constantly get compliments on being a good father. And I think to me that's really, really important. Being on parental leave right now, I have a lot of chance to interact with, mothers and, even fathers that have kids and things like that. And, you're always out in public with the kids going to parks and things like that. And, someone will always come up to you and says, no, you're such a good dad, you're so involved. Or someone will say, just a kind of another thing that really kind of gets to me is when someone says, your kids are really good, they're really well behaved, they're really polite. To me, that speaks volumes. Like, it's not an ego thing. It's not like, hey, nice shoes. Oh, I really like your coat. Like, who cares about all that stuff? To hear that you're a good father and that your kids are good and very well, mannered and respectful, to me, that's like, hey, I'm doing something right. So that to me is the most meaningful thing that anyone can say to me. Mm-hmm. And someone will not say something unless they mean it. If no one mentions that you're a good father, a good parent, or a good mother, or whatever it is, they're not going to say anything. They're not going to lie about that because that's not something that you lie about. They'll just stay silent. So to hear that feedback is very, very moving for me.
And when you are on it, you don't see how good you are being, like raising the child. But when you hear other people around talking, like saying, give the compliment, you take it. And when you realize how good job you are doing right now, you know what I mean?
For sure, I agree.
And what's the most memorable lesson you learned from your kids so far?
Just be patient.
Everyone says that.
Everyone says that, but not everyone does it. Like, to me, like, I was a patient person already to begin with, but ever since I had my kid, especially my son is almost 4 years old now, and he just asks so many questions and it's very redundant and it's all the same stuff. And I just take it, I'm very neutral. I listen, I let him finish his sentences, and I answer him. And I answer him like an adult. And if I don't know the answer, I say, you know what, I don't know. Let's go on the computer and look it up. What is this animal called? I don't know, I've never seen this animal. Let's go look it up together. So I'll never kind of feed him some BS lines or lie to my kids if I don't know the answer. I admit to it. So, being patient is, I guess, the number one thing you need to be when you're a parent. And because that's going to mold your child. Because if you're not patient around your child, then they're going to be discouraged from asking questions, from exploring, because they're going to be like, oh, my mom or dad, they're going to yell at me or they're going to ignore me. So I'm just going to be quiet. So I don't want that to happen. And I don't want this video to turn into this parenting thing, but it's such a big part of my life. So a lot of my questions might revolve around that.
Absolutely. Don't worry. It's all part of the journey.
Okay.
Let's get another question.
Sure.
Right. Next question for you. Where is the most exotic place have you ever been?
Well, I lived in, like I mentioned earlier before we started this video, I did live in Turks and Caicos for a little bit. And, it was a very strange journey for me to go there. I was living in Canada at the time, and I had an opportunity to work for a marketing company, a development company in Turks and Caicos. And I never even been on a vacation before. I never even been to the ocean prior to that. So it might not be the most exotic place, when people think about it, it's not like something like Vietnam or something like that, but it is a really, really cool island where it's not very touristy. The place where I lived, it was called Providenciales, and it's the main island. And there's only one all-inclusive hotel on the whole island. Oh, wow. And what I did is I lived in a condo kind of hotel that my work provided, and I was just living with the locals. And during that time, it was just after the hurricane happened, and a lot of kind of, Haitians and things like that were like trying to get into Turks and Caicos for, sanctuary and safety. So there was a lot of dangerous parts. So I seen a lot of stuff that the locals would see, and, sometimes it was dangerous, but then you're in this paradise with, tourists and things like that. So it's kind of very, very cool and very exotic to be able to live with locals. So I would say Turks and Caicos, hands down, was the most exotic place I've been so far.
And I think that what that makes more interesting is when you are involved in the community. I think that's what makes it more interesting. And how long were you there for?
I was there for 8 months.
8 months. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Another question?
Yes, please.
Let's do it. Frankie, just before the next question, so you were a professional athlete, you said.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about your career.
Typical trajectory for a Canadian or American. I know you're from the UK, well, Brazil and now the UK. So, yeah. Most people outside of North America call it American football, not soccer. So it's a kind of American football. Through high school, I played, and I ended up getting a scholarship to the United States. and then I ended up getting drafted into the Canadian Football League. So I played for the Toronto Argonauts, and I played there for a couple of seasons until I got injured. So it was something that I wanted to do since high school, and that's all I ever wanted to do. So I didn't really concentrate too much on my education, which in retrospect maybe was a little of a mistake. But I was kind of one-track minded, wanting to become a professional athlete. And I achieved my goal, even though that I wasn't able to make a career out of it, or a long-term career anyways. It's something that like I'm really proud of myself for achieving, for not giving up. And it was years in the making. And after my football career ended, I just carried that work ethic into my professional life and into my personal life as well.
It's amazing. Cool. Next question is, what is the one thing you won, something special, and how did you win it?
I don't know, it sounds kind of weird, and I don't want to really put a label on it like winning it, but I always wanted to find someone that I'm compatible with. I wanted to find that life partner. And a lot of people, are in a relationship looking to perhaps, not be alone, and they have some kind of trajectory or timeline. Like, by the time I hit this age, I want to have a house, I want to be married, I want to have kids and things like that. To me, it was never about that. To me, it was always, can I find someone that I want to be with regardless of anything? So if we have money, do I still want to be with this person? If we don't want to be married, but we want to be together, do I still want to be with this person? What if she doesn't want to have children? And what if I don't want to have children? Can we still have a strong relationship? So it was always my goal, and believe me, I've been through a lot of relationships to kind of figure out what I want and what I need. And the relationship I'm currently in is that thing that I consider my victory, because I actually did find someone that I know that I want to spend the rest of my life with. That's a beautiful mother to our kids. So to me, that's my victory. That's my kind of high achievement, if it were in life anyways. Yeah.
Totally agree. I agree with you. The question, Frankie, let's do it. Right, before the next question, tell me a little bit about your morning cardio challenge that you've been doing for the last few days.
Okay, well, I always try to do these little challenges. Prior to that, I did a 90-day challenge where I would work out every single day for 90 days, and I posted that as well. But cardio is one of those things that most people dread, and I don't like it either. Sometimes getting up in the morning is not, I don't have any problems getting motivated to work out, because I could do that any time of the day. I have 24 hours to work out. But doing cardio in the morning is really one of the most important things for your body, for longevity, for your life, and to burn fat and to be healthy and to start the day out right. So I decided to start this 30-day challenge more for myself. If I want to be selfish, is to hold myself accountable for it. So if I vow to do something every single day and post about it, I'm going to be disappointing myself if I don't do it. So for example, a couple of days ago, I always strive to get up around 5:30. Well, I got up around 6:15. And I could have easily just lied in bed, but I'm like, nope, I gotta post this. So I go on my treadmill, and I didn't look my best, and I didn't have anything cool to say, and I posted it. And when I was finished, I could check that off my box. I'm accountable, I did my thing, and I did it honestly. So the 30-day challenge is more for me to hold myself accountable, but I also want people to know that, hey, if you need me, use this hashtag, and I'm going to support you, I'm going to follow you. And it doesn't matter if you don't do it the exact same way that I do it, because working out, doing any kind of movement is better than doing no movement, no exercise at all. So the challenge is for me, but hopefully I pass it on to other people to motivate them.
Sure. And so in your opinion, when you do cardio in the morning instead of the afternoon or in the evening, it's better for your body, it's better for your own benefits?
Yes. So when you do cardio in the morning, and cardio, it doesn't, I'm not saying you should go on there and run 100 miles per hour or anything like that, but when you wake up in the morning, your cortisol levels are really, really high. So that's your stress hormone. So a lot of people wake up and they turn on the news, or they turn on social media, or they drink coffee, or they have these kids yelling at them, and those cortisol levels, those stress hormones just elevate. When you go on your treadmill, you're able to kind of start the day off right, get that energy going. And if your goal is to lose weight, doing fasted cardio, at a low level, maybe about 50 to 60% of your max heart rate, you're able to burn your fat as fuel. So you're able to lose weight at a very, very safe rate, as opposed to going on some kind of crazy diet. So doing cardio first thing in the morning is the best thing for your body if you want to lose weight, and you just get a ton of energy throughout the day. It's just an amazing way to start the day, as long as you had a decent night's sleep before that.
To be honest, I'm very happy you're saying that. I'm very happy because my morning ritual is going for a run straight away as soon as I wake up. So I'm very happy to hear that.
Perfect.
Next question is, if you could make up a school subject, what would be and why?
Well, making up a school subject, I would do something like along the lines of money management and investing. Going through, and maybe this does exist already, I'm not really too sure. But kids today are not learning enough about the real world. They're not learning about, what to do when you do get your first paycheck. Working from a young age, kids, you don't get money. Hopefully that, kids are still doing that these days. But schools are not teaching kids how to manage your money, how to invest, how to save. They don't teach them about compound interest. They don't teach them these things that are going to set them up for success in the future. They teach them, here's this literature, read it, memorize it, here's a test. But you don't need that anymore. You don't need to memorize anything. If I have a question, if I need to find out something, I go on the internet. I don't need to memorize everything. But I do need to know what to do with my money. So if I start saving money from high school, even if it's $100 a month, think about what that's going to be when I'm 50, 60 years old with compound interest. So I think something like that is something that, we need to teach the kids, is how to set themselves up financially for their retirement from a young age.
Of the idea, very good one. Actually, this question came up to someone, one of the shoots a few months ago, and the person said the same way as yours, like how to save money, how to kind of manage your money in the future, because as you said, we don't know. If you don't have this early age process, it makes a difference in the future, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Right, Frank, you enjoyed the show so far?
It's amazing, I love this. It's okay.
Another question. Frankie, next question for you is, what was your worst fruity mouse moments?
I got so many, it's not even funny. I'm very sarcastic by nature, so sometimes I don't really have a filter. So I think I have something that I can it's a constant foot and mouth moment is, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to it. I never said anything offensive or anything like that to anybody, but when you're just walking by and someone says, hey, how's it going? Or good morning. And then, so I'll just give you an example. You're walking down the street and someone says, good morning. Good, how are you? And then you just feel like such a loser because A, you didn't listen to what they were saying. You were just on this autopilot. And then you give them this answer that, first of all, doesn't make any sense. And then you're walking away, you feeling like a loser. And then you're like, what are they thinking? And then you almost want to turn around and say, whoa, hold on. I'm sorry. Let's start that over again. So I think a lot of people have those moments, and I have those quite often because when I'm walking, down the street or in a store, I'm thinking about other things. And sometimes you don't think about that someone's going to just come up to you and say, hey, good morning, how are you? Or things like that, because that's not the way our society works now. Everyone kind of stays tunnel vision to themselves. So when someone does approach you, you're like, good, how are you? What? That doesn't make any sense. So
it does, for sure, it does. Another question, Frankie. Next question is, what keeps you up at night?
Honestly, nothing. I can say that now. When I was younger, just to answer your question, when I was younger, I used to worry about everything. I used to worry about what am I going to do the next day? And I was an athlete, and I was always had a very regimented schedule. I always had to wake up at a certain time and I had to be at practice a certain time because I was on scholarship. And I wouldn't be able to sleep because I had a fear of sleeping through my alarm. And that kind of kept me up at night. And I was always worried about school assignments and my job and my responsibilities and things like that. And that drove me crazy. And then I learned, and I did this through kind of meditation and just to just block stuff off. So not recently, but for the last 10 years, when I go to bed, I don't think about anything because I make sure that before I go to bed, that I sit down and I close off everything that I was supposed to do that day. I write an agenda of what I'm going to do tomorrow. So I already have a plan of what I'm going to do tomorrow before I go to bed. So when I go to sleep, I don't have to think about that because I've already thought about it. I've already made a plan to attack that day tomorrow. So there's nothing kind of lingering in my mind. So I hope that answers that question.
Very good. Yes, makes sense. It makes sense. So I think it's a process. You need to put in practice the habit of doing it, because you know when you have ideas and things, it's every time in your head. So next question.
Yeah.
Okay, Frankie. Next question for you is, what made you laugh last time?
Well, I just watched Coming to America Part 2 the other day, and now there's a couple of funny moments in there. But I'm gonna just kind of have to go back to my kids. I was actually this morning. I was at a grocery store with my kid, and we were just buying our groceries, and we were waiting in line at the deli counter, and we had a number, and we were number 8, and this lady was number 7, and she was like, "Oh, what number are you?" And she says to him, "I'm number 7. What number are you?" He's like, "I'm number 8." And she's like, "Oh, okay, so you're after me." He's like, "Well, what, you think you're better than me because you have the number 7?" So to me, that was like, and she laughed, and it was just like really funny moment. And then he just says, he was so aware of what he said, and he's just like, "No, I'm just kidding. You go ahead. You were here first." And that just really made me laugh. And it was such a kind of an endearing moment where, kids say the darndest things, but he was mature enough to catch himself and actually kind of, you're talking about foot and mouth, he did that, but he kind of retracted it and made it a kind of a sweet moment. So to me, that kind of made my day.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Another question, Frankie. Right, before the next question, and in your opinion, what's the most challenging part of living in Toronto?
The cost. It is a very, very expensive city, and there's just a lot of people. So I think the real estate market is really, I wouldn't say it's overinflated or anything like that, because it is what the market is what the market is. People are willing to pay, so they have those prices. But it's become really, really unaffordable for young professionals to live in the city. So a lot of people are moving out of the city, and the city is becoming this kind of place where you don't really want to raise a family anymore, even though parents do raise their kids in the city and things like that. But it becomes so unaffordable that it doesn't have that kind of small town feel to it. It's this big concrete city that's it's not warm. It's getting colder and colder by the year, in my opinion, and that's because it's become just so unaffordable for young families to live there. So they're moving outside of the city, and a lot of people are just commuting in. And when you have people commuting into a city, it just causes more stress and havoc because of the traffic and everything like that. And people need to drive and rely on that as opposed to taking public transportation. So it's become this city where you visit, not live in. And to me, that's a shame, because Toronto really is a beautiful city, but a lot of people can't afford to live in there.
Interesting point. Okay. What hurt your feelings?
Well, what constantly hurts my feelings, and I don't want it to hurt my feelings, is rejection. I do not like being rejected or ignored. And you know what? It doesn't matter what it is. It can be something serious, like, wanting to, ask someone out on a date and they say no, to like, you send someone a text message, they respond, then you respond to them, but they don't respond back. And like, I know you're on the phone. I see that you read it. Like, you just replied to me 4 seconds ago, and then you have this lingering thing, like, why aren't they responding to me? Did they get it? Did I say something wrong? Like, it's just become this thing, and it shouldn't bother me. And it doesn't bother me to a point where it's going to ruin my day, but I'll think about it for a little bit, and then they'll respond hours later. And then you have this whole dialogue in your head, like, should I respond? Should I not? And like, should I mention, why didn't you respond to me? Does that sound too needy? And that kind of hurts my feelings. I'm like, come on, like, don't engage in a conversation or a text if you're not going to continue it. Like, close it off, say, hey, I'll talk to you tomorrow, I'm busy. Don't just leave it open. I don't like that.
That's what. Right, Frankie, I have 3 questions left for you, okay?
Okay.
Let's do it. right. Just tell me something. Actually, just came up to my mind now. Besides the language, what's, in your opinion, what's the biggest difference between Montreal and Toronto?
I think it's the attitude. Coming from, being in Toronto, I find that it's a lot friendlier and they're more, I would say it's more multicultural. Like they're more accepting of, different cultures, different languages, different accents. A lot of people, they'll hold the door open for you a little bit more, and it's a lot more friendlier. It's not as cold. And not saying Toronto's the warmest city by any means. It's not like Europe or anything like that where everyone's your best friend. But I find that when you go to Montreal, specifically, and you're not a native speaker, when someone approaches you and you say hello and they say, bonjour, and then you're like, and then you continue speaking in English, they almost give you like this attitude. And then when the person behind you is fluent in Canadian French, they like put a smile on their face. They're like, oh, you're one of us. Let me help you. Let me talk to you. And that to me is the biggest difference. And I think a lot of it has to do with the language barrier. And I think a lot of it has to do with, that's why that Quebec wanted to separate from Canada. They had the referendum because they want to be their own independent. They think of themselves more of the French kind of European kind of culture, as opposed to, Americanized North American Canadian culture. So there's a very strong divide when you're visiting Montreal. As beautiful of a city as it is, I love it. I try to go there as much as I can, but that's kind of the main difference.
Interesting. Next question is, what is your favorite guilty pleasure TV show?
Well, I'm gonna do it tonight. I'm watching The Bachelor. Today's the season finale of The Bachelor, so I can't believe I'm even admitting this, but I hate. So I don't like to use the word hate. I don't like that I love that show. It just sucks you in, and I don't watch every single season. And this season, I ended up watching an episode kind of by default because nothing else was on TV, and it got me hooked. And now every Monday, I'm watching this show to see this drama, to see this, this handsome man trying to date these multiple women to finally ask, them to marry him at the end. I'm like, why am I even watching this? Like this, I should not be watching this. And that's one of the only shows that like I'm embarrassed to tell people that I watch is The Bachelor. Absolutely embarrassing, but it's fantastic.
Literal guilty pleasure TV show, that's for sure. Two questions left. Okay, Frankie, what, in your opinion, what was the most challenging part during this lockdown, and what's the positive part of it to get out of this lockdown? Personally for you, like the most positive part and the most negative part you found?
Well, I think the most positive part is you get to find new and interesting things to do. You could take this lockdown and, kind of feel sorry for yourself and, I'm laid off of my job, or, I can't go out and I can't do all this fun stuff. But you have so much stuff at your disposal already. You can read a book, you can take classes online. Like, I took this opportunity to better myself, to be with my kids that much more. I wasn't able to take my kids to the zoo or the park or, on play dates and things like that. But, we learned how to, read at different levels. We learned different games, we did puzzles. So, and myself, I learned how to edit videos, and I learned how to do coding, and I learned how to film, and I learned all these different, and how to be comfortable in front of a camera. Like, I've learned all these things because of the lockdown. Not saying that it's a blessing in disguise, because I'd rather the lockdown didn't happen. But when you make the most of a bad situation, you just grow that much more, and it's going to make you appreciate being out of lockdown. And now you're going into, I guess, normal life with these new tools and these new appreciation. So that's a positive thing. The negative thing is the impact that it has on kids. They're locked out of school, they're not able to socialize. We as parents, or myself as a parent, I want to limit their screen time as much as possible. But during the lockdown, they don't have anywhere to go. The parks were closed for a certain time, here in Canada anyway. They were closed for a certain time. You couldn't go to the zoo. You couldn't even go on play dates. You couldn't do all these things that get them outside. And even their education was forced to go online. Like, that's a sin. They need that social interaction. And I'm really scared for the future of kids because, especially the younger they are, they grow every single week. They evolve. And if they're not having that social interaction, that's going to stay with them. So when they do go back to school, they might have social anxiety. They might not be able to cope with large crowds and things like that. So that's really, I don't know, that's really shameful that, schools were locked down. The kids suffered the most, in my opinion, from all this.
For sure. Right, next question is, who in your family you would trade places with and why?
I would not trade places in my family. I love them all, or in life. I would not trade places with anybody. I love my life so much that I would like to think that if you ask people in my circle this same question, they would say I would trade places with Frankie because he has the right life. So I want to be the person that people want to trade places with me, not I don't want to trade places with anybody. That would just mean that you're not satisfied with your life. And if you want to trade places with somebody, look at why you want to trade places with them and do the things that they do so you can get that life for yourself. If you want to trade places with a millionaire, do the things to become a millionaire.
Agree.
So it's very simple. And that's motivation. And that's what having a mentor is all about. Find someone's life that you want, ask them how they attained it, and go ahead and do it. And then you don't have to wish for anyone else's life. You earn your own life.
Let's say, not even like, let's say for 24 hours, just to see the other person, like mind, or to understand something there. Let's say for 24 hours, to have someone like...
Well, in my family, I would love to trade places with anybody. I think that would be fantastic to see someone else's point of view. And, it would be kind of cool to see yourself through someone else's eyes. So I would love to trade places maybe with my mother, because I would like to feel how she feels about me. So I think that would be a really cool thing, and maybe see the challenges that she has, what goes through her mind, because maybe it would give me a little bit more empathy to them. So I think I would, if I had to do a family member, I would trade places with my mother for 24 hours. But if I could pick a celebrity, I would definitely want to trade places with Elon Musk. I want to get in that guy's brain. I want to see how he functions, because he does so many things and he's such this genius. And I just want to live a day in his shoes just to see how he manages his day, how he kind of gets everything together. So my mother and Elon Musk, there we go.
Very good answer. Ready for the last one?
I am.
Let's do it. You are so easy answering question, Frank. Very easy. My God.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Last one. Tell us a funny story or a moment that happened to you when you were at school.
Okay. Well, I was a really bad kid growing up in school. So a really funny moment. Well, it started off as a tragic moment and kind of a shameful moment, but it turned out to be a really, really funny moment. So one of my best friends in class, he was getting bullied by somebody, and he was constantly getting bullied, and he wasn't able to defend himself. And I've had enough. Like, that's enough. I can't deal with this anymore. So next time he was getting bullied, he was getting, physically, beaten up. So I jumped in and I took care of business. So, I did something, I made sure that he paid for him bullying my friend. Anyways, that got me in a lot of trouble. So I was sent to the principal's office and they called my dad. So before they called my dad, there was the principal. He was a really, really mean, kind of hard person. He stepped out of the office, and when he moved out of his chair, I saw that there was a piece of cake on the table behind him. So I was there with my friend who was getting bullied, and we're like, oh, there's some cake there. So we actually went around the desk and just grabbed a piece of cake with our hands, started eating the cake. So we stole the principal's cake, we turned it around, so it doesn't look like we ate it, and then we went back to our chairs. So that was a really, really funny moment for us. That was a funny story. And then my dad came in, and you expect that your dad's gonna be mad. I was scared that my dad's very strict and very stern. And then when he told the story, when he heard the story, what happened, he went to my principal and says, you know what? You don't have to suspend my son. I'm taking him home right now because he should not be in trouble for this. He just defended his friend, and because he won the fight, he should not be getting in trouble. the person who should be getting in trouble is a person who got bullied. And he never got in trouble because, he lost the fight, as it were. And so he ended up being the victim, but he was the victimizer for many years to my friend. And the fact that my dad realized that, hey, my son's defended his friend, I'm going to take him out of school because I don't want him to be in this environment for now. And that really kind of made me see my dad in a different eye. So that's kind of a little bit, the whole day was this kind of eye-opening experience. So it was really cool.
Very good. I'm glad this question came up to you. Right. Let's play now the quick thinking game, okay? I'm going to give away some words and you just tell me one word that comes to your mind, okay?
Sure.
Let's start with politics.
Corruption.
Love.
Necessary.
Money.
Freedom.
Family.
Everything.
Life.
Tricky.
Sex.
Passionate.
Religion.
Political.
Fear.
Natural.
Friendship.
Important.
Regret.
None.
Desire.
Dangerous.
True. So true. Success.
Objective.
Happiness.
Subjective.
Wish.
None.
Okay. If I tell you Toronto, one word.
Home.
Canada.
A great country.
Okay. Sports.
Life.
And the next one now. Home gym.
Passion.
Very good. Very good. Let's pretend now I'm going to meet your lovely partner, your wife, and I'm going to ask her. Tell me the most beautiful thing about Frankie and tell me something that he needs to improve on. What do you think she will tell me?
I think, other than being a good partner and a good father, she wouldn't be with me if otherwise. But I think she would say kind of my number one quality is my empathy. I'm very empathetic to every single person that I come across. When we see some negative things on the news or we see some negative things happening in life or someone in our life has, done us harm or just things like that, I'm always empathetic to their situation. I always look at it with the sense of like, why is this person doing this? Maybe they don't mean it with the intention. So my empathy, she would say, is kind of my strongest characteristic, and definitely my sarcasm. She can't stand it. So she'd say, if I could change one thing about him, I would want to kind of tone down his sarcasm. Because I use it for a couple of different reasons. I think it's funny, not knowing that some people who don't know me might think is maybe a little bit hurtful at times, but I also use it as a defense mechanism. So instead of getting angry, instead of, getting hurt or disappointed, I just use sarcasm as a defense mechanism. And I know that it's wrong sometimes, and I know that really kind of upsets her and gets under her skin. And I'm working on it. And she would say he's working on it, but he needs to work a little bit more on it.
Right, let's play now Frankie and the Magic Box, and you can ask me a question, okay? Okay, Frankie, you can ask me a question now.
So I was going to ask you, what are the positive and negatives that the pandemic has had on your life? But you've already asked me that, so I want to be a little bit unique for your viewers so they can get a different perspective. But I'm always interested, what makes people move from their country of origin to a different country? So you said that, were you born and raised in Brazil?
Yes, I left Brazil. Mm-hmm.
So what took you out of Brazil and brought you to the UK?
Very good question. Very good question. I believe when I look back, I think I always have a personality. I come from, my family was a very genuine family. I didn't have a lot of opportunities in my life. So when I was a child, I've always been very, let's say, proactive. I always wanted to grow, to be a better person, to go after my dreams. And when I was 19 years old, I thought I had the opportunity to go to Portugal. and I didn't think twice because I had the opportunity to go to university at the same time as well, but it was private, and my parents couldn't afford to for me to go to a private university. So when the opportunity came to go to Portugal, I didn't think twice. I said, okay, I'm gonna take this opportunity. So I think the main reason was it's just the fact that I just wanted to follow my dreams. I wanted to improve my English at the time as well. I just being very passionate about the English language. But I went to Portugal because for me it was difficult to get a visa to go to USA because my parents couldn't afford me, a lot of reasons. But I think the main reason was just to follow my dreams, just to get a better life, to help my family, and literally to follow my dreams. I always had this adventure personality of learning and growing and being a better person. And that was, I think, the main reason for me to go abroad and to live. And I'm so happy to be in London right now. I think London is home. I've been here for 15 years. So I lived in Portugal for 4. And that's the main reason why I left my home, my country.
Do you ever go back to Brazil? Do you have family there?
I do. Yeah, I try to go once a year. And my mom was here a few years ago, so I try to go like once a year, once in 2 years' time, depending, because like Canada, some of my best friend lives there, so I try to travel around. But all my family are back in Brazil. But the main reason was just to follow my dreams and to get a better life and grow and be a better person. That's
I love it.
Great.
Great answer.
Frankie, did you have a good time?
I had this is an amazing platform. I'm really honored that you even chose me. I don't know how you even chose me, but the fact that you did, and the fact that I took a chance and accepted your invitation, great experience, and I really love it, and I look forward to seeing the final product.
Thanks so much. Thanks for being nice and sweet. And I know you're a very busy guy. You have so much happening in your life right now, but you took this time to do the interview with me. And just before you go, if you don't mind to share a positive quote, a positive message, something that inspires you.
Yeah, so I'm going to go back to being a father and being a parent. I didn't have the best childhood growing up. So I always have this quote in my head that I live by, and it's, be the father you wish you had, or be the father you always needed. So that to me that's how I always see life. And, you don't necessarily need to be a father. You can do it to a friend. So, be a friend to somebody the way that you need them to be a friend to you. And that's the way kind of I approach life. Is every time I do something, I look at my son and I'm like, what did I need from my father that I didn't get, that I can now help provide to my son and to my daughter? So that's kind of my quote, and that's my philosophy that I live by on a daily basis.
It's beautiful. And to be honest with you saying that, just put myself back in my childhood as well. And actually one of the reasons as well, like just implemented my answer to you, one of that as well. I always thought that I could be a different person or grow up more because maybe the childhood that I didn't have, the opportunities I didn't have when I was a child. And I think that's why pushed me, in a positive way. When I look back, I was like, I'm so glad that I didn't have these opportunities when I was a child, because now, it just pushed me more and more to be where I am right now. And actually, I would like to have a child in the future as well, and I would give the double that I didn't have, And I think that's just complements what you just asked me before.
That's beautiful.
Frankie, it was a pleasure having you on the show, okay? All the best.
Take care. Have a good day.
Bye.
Thank
you. So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, to share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why you'd like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye bye, see you next time.